Welcome to the Matt Wilkie podcast.
Got cut off there, ran out of time on the clock. But yeah, because I'm actually paying tax twice currently, because I'm actually autonomo in Spain, which is self-employed. So I actually pay a monthly self-employment for social security, which covers me for healthcare and the family for healthcare and also the schooling, etc. So I'm paying tax twice. So please be aware that somebody who's broke doesn't spend that much money on being broke, because I have to pay accountant fees on a monthly basis. I'm having to pay tax and national insurance in the UK. I'm having to pay tax contributions, social security contributions within Spain as well. So I hope that answers your question. No, I'm not financially broke. And what else have we had? I've seen a trolley comment today about living in a caravan or something. What is wrong with you people? The reality is we've got a 2-bedroom apartment. We've been in the same one for the last 2 years. It's not hard to see that we live here. If you want a tour of it, you're not going to have one. It's not because I don't need to. Let's put it that way. It's just for trolls, just to be trolly. So no, I don't live in a caravan. You can't actually file for the paperwork for self-employment and stuff from a bloody caravan. Now it does question me, since that come from the original troll, even if he lives in a caravan, because I know his tax returns and his business address that he predominantly posts out there is actually a post office box, his local post office. So maybe it's a reflection of his own life. Who cares? But no, things are actually on the up here in Spain. Things are on the up in the Philippines and in the UK. The contract stuff I'm doing now was originally for a couple of months, and if anybody actually knows John Parrish, been working with us on some of this NHS stuff as well. There's plenty of work out there if you've got the right skill set. The main thing is trying to get the right money, because one of the problems we've got on this trade at the minute is the race to zero has begun. But it suits me because the bit I do is the bit they can't really cost cut on. Because where they're being cost cutting is where they're getting the problems. So when they send me stuff, it's actually to put other people's work right. But anyway, everything's pretty good. The only thing I have got is I'm extremely busy. I'm not expecting to be churning out the same sort of quantity videos that I was doing before, where I could do 10 in a day. Quite simply, I haven't got the time to do it. But also, a lot of the Philippines topics we've already covered. There's nearly, I think, 1,500 videos in there that cover most things. The big thing for me at the moment, I suppose, in the Philippines is, what is Duterte doing? The state of emergency is a bit of a big question mark for me, because a small explosive action with 15 people did die. I'm not sure it's been confirmed anymore, but there is a lot of stuff that goes on in the Philippines on a regular basis. I know, where was it? April's uncle. There was actually a PMP patrol where 11 people were killed. The thing with a lot of it is it doesn't get in the media as much as you would expect. But it's sort of churned round, because when it was predominantly under the Aquino administration, it seemed like it was all pushed down. But now it's sort of reversed, because obviously a lot of people in the media are anti-Duterte anyway. I would actually say that somewhere in the middle there is some truth in some of this stuff. All the killings and stuff, I would actually turn around and say, well, how many of them are actually related to this and how many are cartel? Because a lot of the killings are happening anyway. They just weren't pushed in the media as if like it was a problem. Now that Duterte's hunting these people down, it's become a problem. Now, what I am hearing from people that are actually in various areas, what I mean is they're in Bohol, they're in Cebu, they're in Luzon, that things seem a bit better. Things seem a bit more safe. I don't know if it's a false thing, or it's just they assume something's changed. I don't know, because obviously I'm physically not there at the minute. But people are saying that they do feel a lot safer in the Philippines right now, which sort of saying, well, maybe things are in the right direction. Now, I know people go, human rights. I have to say, when countries go through a transition period, there is always a transition of bloodshed. If you look at the American Revolution, it wasn't a quiet chat and over a cup of tea and just sign this form and off we go. In the same way, when the railroads were built, there was a lot of people shot because of the drunkenness and the problems they were having with building the railroads. There's a lot of stuff that went on in the US that quite happily people just ignore in history. The UK is the same. The UK was not a nice place. It went through its own bloody transition to get where it is today. In the same way, you've got Theresa May on about trying to scrap the human rights thing at the moment, which will be interesting. Because the thing for me is human rights is an odd one, because I know in the UK it has had a lot of abuse. But at the same time, you're also finding the story relating to the cat and somebody having a right to stay in the UK relating to this cat was pushed in the media, but was later proven that it was actually a fake story. The main reason I support the human rights for the UK sort of side is more to do with, in line with pay, how people are treated at work, how people are treated in society. There's the justice stuff that's going on in the Philippines at the moment. The problem you've got is people can buy their way out of jail. If you've got money and power, you can buy your way out. With these hunts going on, if they're taking people out where they can, it's more of a Judge Dredd sort of justice, where it's dealt with on the drop. Basically, where they find you, where they put you. Is it good or bad? I think it's a transition phase. I don't think there is a way you can actually judge this is right or wrong. The fact is, when you've got what's her name, De Lima, with her relations with the drug industry, and all the other stuff that's being put in the media at the minute, and then she's sitting there going about human rights, it sort of shows that the connection between politicians and the trade, the drugs trade, is far, far too close. We'll wait and see. What concerns me about the martial law type thing is where we've actually moved into this phase after this explosion is it can simply change the whole dynamic of the Philippines in one quick move. The Obama visit may be an interesting one, because I think Duterte, although people complain about some of his wordings, I think he's quite good at sitting on the fence with things. He's now sitting with China and America. I think he'll sort something out where it's to the Philippines' benefit. I think that's a positive change for the Philippines, where there was too much for too few taken at the top. Right now, I see a leader that's actually trying to change the Philippines for the better. Will it continue? I don't know, to be honest. If you get to a certain stage, you can get stalled. You can also find that the people you put in charge are more corrupt than the people you kicked out. So unless you've actually got some serious control over everything, it becomes very, very difficult to make changes that will actually hinder any corruption in the future. I was talking to somebody yesterday that was extorted for 100,000 pesos when he was dealing at one of the airports in the Philippines for his visa. The guy's been there a long time, but they know he was going back for a business trip, and as such exploited the situation for their benefit. We did discuss about reporting it, but it's one of those things where he's not happy to report it unless he knows actually something's going to happen. Because the problem you get in the Philippines, you could end up where you get more trouble than actually getting a solution. So early days on Duterte. I will say though, I think if you're honest and not actually doing anything, you don't really get any problems. Not that my friend was doing anything wrong, but the guy that actually ripped him off, he'd befriended. One of the key things I recommend is not becoming too close to some people that can have some influence over you, especially in immigration. It's alright to have an immigration contact, but don't make them aware of what money you've got, what you're doing, etc. Just keep them at arm's distance. There's nothing wrong with a hello and maybe the old coffee or that now and again, but I wouldn't look to make them aware of your income or anything else, because that's where you get these problems. If you've reviewed stuff in the Philippines, you may have come across a document relating to a bowling club, a green bowls club, where somebody had some severe problems with a PNP colonel, I believe it was, that was aware they'd got some money from the Hong Kong green bowls club, who had bought the club. So they then ended up jailing the owner of the club to extort the money from him. A lot of those things will not change. Although there's transition periods going on at the moment, you have to be aware that things are so ingrained, it would take a long period of time for that to actually change. So, although Duterte is making some changes now, I would say it would probably take 20 years to actually get something where we'd see the same sort of level of corruption reduced to for the West, more in line with the West. And he's only got 4 years, and I don't think he'll change that amount in the 4 years. I can see more economy growth. I can see more changes in agriculture and things like that to actually regenerate a lot of the farming and stuff that has been abused and exploited. But at the same time, after the 4 years, unless we've got another leader coming up behind him, it may become something that will fizzle out in history. We'll wait and see. Anyway, thanks for listening for such a long podcast. It's one of the reasons I don't normally talk at 3 o'clock in the morning, but because I talk too much. But anyway, that's what I'm up to, where I'm going, what I'm doing. This week, I might try and do a couple of videos if I can, but I don't think I can do. I've got a hairdresser here in the morning as well, so it's all go. Thanks for listening.